G'day Dodgers, welcome back to my Blinkies Build It All videos. It has been a while, but I thought I'd get around to doing some new videos on some current builds. I've been off for a little while, had some illness to deal with, and had a little bit of time just playing around with some projects that I'd done previously to come up with some ideas to change. This is one of them. This is my new billy cart. Well, it's an old billy cart that I built a number of years ago, and have decided to start finishing off. We need to get some wheels onto it, connect up the steering and the pedals and get that working, and go a little bit further with the construction of it, and hopefully it's a downhill process from there. No, it is a sim rig for computer gaming. I'm a little bit crazy about that stuff at times. I get on maybe 3 hours a week and race an electronic car on a screen rather than screaming down the hill in a billy cart. Too old for that stuff these days. So I bought a Logitech steering wheel and pedal set, which is an average starting point of the market to get me going with just some bit of fun, and had a frame that came with the rig that wasn't 100% great, so I had pulled it apart and made some changes to it, finding more things that need to be changed. So we're going to get it apart again. Some of the stuff, as you can see, I've already started pulling apart. I need to mount the pedals properly and in a more comfortable position, so it means removing some pieces of timber off the rig so that we can move it around. The previous builder had added pieces in there that restricted what I need to do to make it comfortable, and then just tidying up a few things. We'll look at some cable management and mounting the steering wheel and these brackets so that they don't rack and move around while we're racing. So what we will get to do now is start pulling the rest of the rig gear off, the pedals and the steering wheel that I haven't done, and we'll get to disassembling the timber and remove those pieces that we don't need, and then we'll look at moving some positions of what works and what's comfortable. There is a seat for it which goes on a separate rack which sits on here. I use it as a lounge seat in my lounge room there when I'm not gaming. Other games where I don't need the sim, I'll slide that seat in and use that to sit on so I can play my games. Without much to do, we'll grab a rattle gun off the rack and start disassembling some parts that we need to do. Unfortunately, some of these bits that I have added on will need to come off to get to those screws, and we'll go from there. So watch on, we'll speed up the boring bits, and I'll show you how far we get with this work today. So first we'll undo the shifter and unwrap that cable away. Right, now we've got that away, we'll pull this pedal board off, take that out of place so I can get access to the rest of the screws. Some of the screws in the previous build had been puttied over, so they're hard to find the heads. It'll most probably destroy my bit on my drill and also some of the timber, but we'll work around that. Right, okay, that was a little bit easier than I thought. As I said before, the previous builder of the black sections of this has used putty and other sealants to join the timbers together, so it's been a little bit hard to find the bits and get it apart, but I've done that. So next bit we'll do, after pulling those off, we need to strengthen that up. That's only got a screw in either side holding it. So we'll go further with the next bit. We'll add some extra screws into that piece there to tighten that up. I'll reposition that board back on here and we'll add some more screws onto this piece, and we'll put some more screws into that board because I only had it held with 2 screws up here and wedged in down the bottom. So we'll fix that up. As you saw before, the couple of screws I had were only wedging to hold this in. These pedal boxes have actually got proper screw holes which mount the pedals properly to the board. So we'll work out our positions and then mark out where those holes are going to be. And I've gone and bought some fasteners and washers to screw the pedal box down to the board properly. And then that way it'll hold it stronger. And if I need to move it around, all I have to do is then undo the screws holding the board on to move it and make adjustments. And hopefully that'll be enough. So we'll get on with that bit further now and work out our measurements that we need for that and drill those. And then from there we will work out our next part of the puzzle. Righto, I didn't bore you with the drilling of the holes for the pedal box mount, but you can see I've got the holes mounted. I did drill all 6 holes, but I found that I only needed the 3. The base is fairly strong on the pedal box to be able to handle that nice and tight and firm. So that's ready to mount back into the rig once we've made the changes to the rest of the frame. So we'll get to that now and work out how we're going to go about that. Alright, the first bit of the process that we're going to do is add the extra screws into these pieces that I showed before that was loose. So that's a more solid mount and that'll help keep the pedal box a little bit more stable. Unfortunately, more screw holes by the previous builder means more putty to dig out. Nice and stable now, no rocking. Right, so I've got the pedal blocks in place. She's nice and stable, not rocking around anywhere like she did before, and hopefully won't lift while I'm using it. We'll get back to putting the steering wheel and gear lever mount back on. Wrong bit. Okay, I've got the rack back on. I did adjust the camera down to work on setting it up on the ground. However, didn't push the record button, so I've got it all screwed here. Unfortunately, there's still a bit of buckling in the frame that I've got to tidy up, but I think when I properly build this, in the final version of it, once I've got it designed up, I'll fix that issue up then. There's a little bit of racking, as you can see there, that's pulling up. We will need to address that when it comes to it. So we've got that done, got this in place. We now need to run some cabling. Right, well that's all tidied up, something that I've been meaning to do for a while. So we've got that. One last thing I want to do is, this rack is a little bit sloppy, so I'm going to put some screws up actually underneath here right now to hold that tighter and stop the gear shift from rocking in my hand as I change gears. Sounds like the neighbours are home. That's more stable. That just needs centering and repositioning after pulling apart. That's all done. Time to tidy up, vacuum up. We'll set the seat up and we'll see how we go for positioning that. Thanks today for watching along, and we'll see a little bit more of my racing, I think, once I've got this sorted out again. Thanks guys, stay safe.